If your friends asked you to clean out their family's house and attic, would you hope to find something crazy and help them? I certainly would. I'll tell you about somebody who did. Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. Today's Friday, the best day of the week because it's Attic Find Friday, and it's also hoodie weather, the best time of the year, in my opinion. So, quick update on my book. I am scrapping my book. It got to be a bit too much with everything that I had to go through. So I've just decided it's too stressful. I've got too much stuff going on. I'm going to scrap it, which is a huge bummer because I did a lot of work on it, but ultimately not worth the hassle that I was being put through for it. So yeah, bummer, but maybe someday. Maybe someday. I'm not giving up on it, but I'm scrapping it for now. So today's Attic Find Friday comes to me from a viewer, and I love these. Just like the one from yesterday with all my viewers' favorite childhood cards, I love these videos that come from you guys, from collectors. So let's talk about Sam and his family friends. Sam is a subscriber of mine, of course, commenter, and he commented on one of my videos, and he says that I kind of blew him off with the story, but then he persisted and decided to email me the story too. And I'm really glad he did. I don't remember his comment about it, and I'm really sorry that I didn't seem interested in it, but the story is great and is exactly what I'm looking for. Either some massive find worth millions or a smaller find with a story, with some history behind it, which is this one. So Sam's story is from August of 2020, the height of the pandemic. You all remember nothing was going great at that time, really. Their family friends who lived out of state lost their elderly aunt from natural causes. The aunt lived 15 minutes from Sam and his family, and the family friends flew into town and asked Sam and his family if they could help clean out the house. And they just wanted to sell everything really quickly. Get it over with, get rid of everything, the house, the vehicle, everything in the house. They get into the house though, and they are overwhelmed with how much stuff is in there. There was so much stuff. So that's when they called Sam and his family and said, hey, can you come and help out? At this point, they decided they only wanted to sell the house and the car. Everything else they wanted to just give away. Get rid of it fast, give it away. So Sam comes and he posts everything on Facebook and had dozens of people interested in picking free things up, of course. I mean, when you're giving away free things, you're going to get people interested. And within 2 days, everything was gone. And Sam says that the house was like a time capsule to the 1960s. Everything was in amazing shape and really old. And there might have been some collectibles in there, but nothing was found in the house. After cleaning out the house and the garage, Sam's family friends flew back home and just asked Sam and his family to do a final walkthrough before the sale and make sure that they didn't miss anything. While Sam's doing this, he notices that there is an entry point to a garage attic that they weren't aware of. This is pretty common. We have in my youngest child's closet an entry into our attic that we haven't been up in since our first year in this house 16 years ago. It's inconvenient. There's no reason for us to ever go up there. And my daughter's closet is a mess, so. So they notice this entry up into this attic. They call up the family friends and say, hey, we've got this attic up here. And the family friends say, if you don't mind, just clean it out. You can throw away anything or keep anything of value you want. And so Sam's immediately thinking, ooh, this could be awesome. So they start up into the attic, and it is painstaking work. It was full of old stuff. And it's mid-August, so it's very, very hot up there, as you can imagine. And they're going through, and they get about halfway through, and Sam noticed an old shipping container, a shipping chest in the corner. And he's immediately thinking, oh, what if there's cards or comic books in there, things like that. But everything else had been junk in the attic, so he's like, nah, it's got to be junk. So he left it until he was done cleaning out the attic. And then he opens it. The first thing he sees is a crumpled up 1948 World Series pennant. And I'll talk a little bit about the 48 World Series in a moment, but So he digs down a little bit further underneath the pennant and he finds 3 rain check stubs from games in 1948. I think 2 in May, 1 in September. And he thinks, well, there's 3 game stubs, so they obviously went to games that year. And there's a World Series pennant, so there's got to be a World Series ticket too. So he keeps pulling stuff out, and sure enough, in a jewelry box at the bottom of the chest is a World Series pennant. Game 5, 1948 World Series. So now he's got a ticket, and he's got a pennant from a World Series that's 72 years before. It's pretty awesome, pretty exciting to find. The 1948 World Series was played between the Boston Braves and the Cleveland Indians. And despite Bob Feller losing both of his starts in the World Series, the Indians won. It's actually the last World Series that the Indians won. So it's kind of an important thing. You know, if you've won, let's say, 20 some odd World Series, a ticket from the 1940s or 50s might not resonate with as many people. But your last World Series was 72 years before. Very cool stuff. And Yankees fans, don't at me. I'm sure that all those World Series are very important to you. Oh man. Game 5 was actually won by the Braves. Even though they lost the series, they obviously had to win 2 games because they lost it in 6 games. Cleveland was managed by Lou Boudreau, Hall of Famer. This was the first World Series televised outside of the Northeast. Television was in its infancy at that time, so pretty new. That's also the only World Series between 1947 and 58 without a New York team, and the last one not won by a New York team until 1957. So an entire decade, just about, of just Yankees World Series wins, or New York Series wins. In 1957, actually, the Braves won that one. They were in Milwaukee at that time, and they beat the Yankees. Interesting facts here. The average game time in that 1948 World Series was 1 hour and 59 minutes. The average attendance was 60,000 people. It was 79,000 for the 3 Cleveland games that played in Cleveland Stadium at that time. Huge stadium. Incidentally, this was the stadium that the Dog Pound was created in. You might be familiar with the Dog Pound. Also, Game 5, interesting fact here, Satchel Paige appeared in Game 5. He was the first black pitcher to ever take the mound in a World Series game. Pretty neat. Warren Spahn pitched 5 2/3 innings of relief for the win. So some interesting, I thought this game had some pretty interesting facts that went along with it. So I've asked Sam, I haven't heard back yet, but I'll update you maybe Sunday in my Sunday video. Has he told the family friend what he found in the chest, and what did they say? Did they care? I'm curious about this kind of thing. Pausing here to say that Sam did get back to me after I recorded this video, and he said that they did know the things that he found up there, and they insisted that he keep them all. So pretty cool. So the family friend's aunt and uncle got married it's post-war America. The uncle was a World War II vet, so they were enjoying their childless life, apparently, going to see a bunch of games in Cleveland that year. They settled down a few years later in the early 50s, had kids, and then built this house in the early 1960s, and then seemed to just throw a bunch of stuff into the attic, including this chest, for 60 years. It just sat up there in amazing shape other than the crumpled pennant. So Sam, after finding the ticket, graded it with PSA, and then he sold it for $1,000 on eBay. He kept the pennant. He's a diehard Cleveland fan, and because it was their last World Series, wanted to have it as a keepsake. Because it was so crumpled, he had to place it between 2 sheets of plywood and then under his mattress for a year, so it would flatten out. Now, I would notice something like that under my mattress, 2 sheets of plywood and a pennant in between it, like the Princess and the Pea, right? After that year, he got it framed. It still sits in his office, framed. He paid $80 for a frame on Amazon, and it's in his office now, I guess 2 years after framing it. He's kept the regular season stubs in card savers since then. He's waiting for PSA to reduce their ticket grading prices on those. Doesn't seem to be sure what he wants to do with those. And then he gave that shipping chest to an antique collector friend. So pretty cool story. I want to know what you would do if you would. First of all, would you help your friends clean out their house, their aunt and uncle's house? Would you keep these items? Would you sell them? What would you do? Let me know in comments. All right. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great weekend.